The addiction process can sometimes be a challenging one for a smoker to understand, as it is often hidden behind other behaviours and triggers. These behaviours could include things such as stress, boredom, anger, sadness, and habitual routines throughout the day. One way to explain the nicotine receptors in the brain is to use the analogy of small birds in a nest. The small birds being the nicotine receptors and the nest being the brain. Small birds in a nest will often require regular feeding to keep them happy and content in their early life. If the birds are not being fed at the time they expect, then it is very likely they will become agitated and continually chirp all at once. This is exactly the same process for nicotine receptors within the brain of a smoker. The receptors thrive on the nicotine being fed to them on a regular basis from the cigarette to provide the rapid dopamine release. As we know, if the nicotine is not present and the dopamine release is not taking place, this can bring on some very uncomfortable withdrawal symptoms for the smoker. This explains why it can be particularly unpleasant to stop smoking with no replacement method, as the birds in the nest will continually miss their food and go hungry. Stop smoking products such as nicotine replacement therapy, Champix and e-cigarettes can be very beneficial in calming the birds to ensure they chirp less throughout a quit attempt. These products will either deliver nicotine in a more controlled way or limit the withdrawal symptoms being experienced by the individual. It's also important to realise that the birds in the nest won't die off or disappear at any stage. However, as long as the birds are not exposed to the nicotine from a cigarette, then after 12 weeks of full cessation, they will be sent to sleep in the nest. At this point, the individual involved has overcome the smoking addiction and will not experience any cravings past this point. However, the individual must be aware that just one puff at any stage can immediately cause the birds to wake up again. And of course, once they are awake, they will only continue to chirp on a regular basis to be fed again. Unfortunately, this is when relapse back to smoking can be extremely common for a lot of people. The only way to avoid the birds waking and the addiction being present again is to not have a single puff of tobacco once quit.